Okay, just got done seeing M. Night Shyamalan's new movie, Glass, which is the third part of a series. It had Unbreakable, and the second one was called Split. And it was, it's basically a superhero movie, as told by M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, it's like almost like a naturalistic,
yeah,
I guess, superhero movie.
Yeah, really, I think he did a good job in kind of like creating a universe based upon Marvel Comics and DC. What would it be like if superheroes were real? What would it be like if it was realistic? And I think he succeeded. Turns out this one is kind of like an origin story.
Yeah.
Or the first trilogy is an origin story for something more to come.
Yeah, don't want to give too much away.
Can't do
because
any
I
spoilers.
wasn't expecting, because like I said, I mean, in the trailers, I mean, you're obviously seeing the thing where James McAvoy is reprising his role from The Split as the Split personality. The guy who's one of his personalities is a serial killer called the Beast. Yeah. And there's also Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis reprising their roles from Unbreakable. Yeah. And they all kind of end up in a mental institution together, and things ensue. Yeah, the
movie had fantastic acting. I thought it was a solid story. I had a really good time. I mean, I like this in a certain way. I kind of like this more than Aquaman, even though they're very different movies.
Yeah, this is nothing like
Aquaman. It's nothing like Aquaman, but as far as a superhero movie goes, I like this. I mean,
although I would have to say I would definitely recommend seeing Unbreakable and Split before this, because if you don't, you'll probably be able to figure out if you know like what the kind of rough story of those two movies was. Yeah. But it will be much easier and you will enjoy it more.
I didn't get to see Split. I'm going to go back and see it, but I did see Unbreakable and I liked it.
Yeah.
So you at least have to see Unbreakable.
Yeah. And I would recommend seeing Split too, but I don't think that's quite as...
it's not a prerequisite.
Yeah, because like you'll kind of figure out, like, you know, of the Beast character, even if, because I didn't see Split either, but I knew like what the story was about, so I knew what his character was about. Yeah. And he was fucking great in this. Yeah. Like I said, I haven't seen Split, and I heard he was great in that too, but just the way he can like change personalities like on a dime like that and not make it seem cheesy. It actually seemed very realistic and kind of freaky. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like he's possessed.
Yeah, and he's like a really good physical actor too. He did
it's funny. He's not he's a sawed off little fucker, but he's like in good shape. But because he's just so fierce, his acting, you buy it. You buy that this guy's fucking super strong.
Yeah, because I don't really think they do. I mean, obviously they did some things like they showed in the trailer where he was like running across the yard like a cheetah, and where he's climbing walls and stuff. But when he's in the Beast mode, I don't think they do much to him. I mean, other than him just like
blue veins and really
like
puffed
blowing
up.
himself up. Like they don't, you know what I mean? They don't CGI him into like hulking out or anything.
I like
and he's got like black eyes, you know what I mean? But that's about it. It's mostly all just him. His movements. And
they brought in a cool element that I really liked, is that there's an element of belief and faith. If you don't believe...
I thought you'd enjoy that.
If you don't actually believe you can do this shit, then you won't be able to do it.
Yeah.
But because these guys are just amped up for, psychological reasons, they can do it because they believe they can.
Yeah. And I liked that too. I liked that they kind of played with the idea, well, maybe they don't really have these powers. Maybe they just believe that they did, and if we take that belief away, then they won't be able to do them.
Yeah, so there's something to that.
Yeah, so there's that kind of like ambiguity about it too. Yeah. Like maybe these are crazy people. Maybe they really don't have superpowers. So I like that they kind of like played with that as well.
Well, hey, during my time in the Army Infantry, I know that if you're psychologically beaten down, you will not be able to do it.
Yeah.
Believing that you can get this done, you'll get it done.
Yeah, and there was
called morale.
There was an aspect of that in this that I really liked too. Like I said, I would advise seeing the first two. At least see Unbreakable before you see this one. Otherwise, you might not really know what's going on. But,
you have to at least see Unbreakable.
But I really, really like this a lot. Like I said, the acting was great. Like everybody was great in it. Just a really solid flick.
Out of a 10, I'd give it an 11. I'm gonna give it an extra point.
This is, and you know how picky he is.
I'm gonna give it an 11.
So when he likes something, you know it's got to be good.
All right, guys, you guys have a good one.
All right.
Okay, we just got done seeing Vice, which was a kind of like a historical, political satire / reenactment, I guess, a story of Dick Cheney. Isn't that what you call it?
Yeah, sort of a biopic, but not really, because it mostly just focused on his career in politics and like, some into his personal life and stuff like that. But
yeah, and it got into, you know, like the 9/11, the war in Iraq, and everything.
But also covered like him working his way up like in the Nixon White House.
And then his heart transplant and everything. It was quite funny at times. It was pretty clever the way they did it. They had the guy in the beginning who, well, I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, please don't spoil that because I did not know where that was coming from.
Didn't see that was coming from.
Okay, yeah, see the whole thing is like the beginning of it, I was like, did this really need a narrator? But then like as it went on and there was realize, and then you realize who it is that's narrating it. It's like it was actually kind of a clever conceit. Yeah,
the acting is fantastic. Christian Bale just fucking knocks it out of the park. That's Dick Cheney.
Really? I mean, is that
prosthetics?
Looks just,
I don't know. That looks just like Dick Cheney. It sounds just like it. And the dude that played Donald Rumsfeld did a really good job.
That was Steve Carell, from The Office.
Condoleezza Rice. She looked like Condoleezza Rice.
It did look just like her.
Also,
Sam Rockwell was George W. Bush.
Yeah, and George Bush.
And he was also very good.
Yeah, and
I love Sam Rockwell.
And I think the overall, you know, the characters were treated pretty fairly. Roger Stone, who worked with a lot of these guys, who, you know, he's a political commentator, was around today, and he's a Republican. He knew all these guys, and he says, "Yeah, that's them. That's exactly what they were like."
It didn't really seem like exaggerated. And like I said, you know, obviously we're old enough to have lived through all of this period, but also I have read extensively about this period and about all the shit that was going on in the White House at this time period. And there's nothing in there that wasn't known. That's you know, everybody knows that shit now. It wasn't exaggerated.
The movie, you're going to say that the movie does come from a left perspective, which of course, you know, they're going to poke fun at Republicans. That's what they do. But I would kind of say that it still astounds me today that people are shocked that this is the way leaders are and that corporations have a lot of power. And it shocks me that people are shocked that governments do things for money. It's always been that way. And it's always going to be that way. They're all like this.
But like I said, it was a very significant political you know, time period, and you know, they're just kind of...
They couldn't... You had these people in offices that had power, and when all that shit went down, they had an opportunity to make lots of fucking money, and that's what they did. It's hard to say no to money. And they even showed... One thing that I will give the movie credit for is it showed Hillary Clinton out there just stumping to go to war with Iraq. She was in on it too. They all are. You know, this is a business. And don't for one second think that these people are fair. Government is the ultimate form of organized crime. That's really what it does. And I'm surprised that people are shocked at the kind of people that flourish and survive inside bureaucracies. Because there are bureaucracies, it naturally selects people like this, and it always will.
But that said, I mean, as much as I'm not a fan of Dick Cheney, this actually, I don't want to say it humanized him, but you know, because I don't like when they say, "Oh, you humanize." Well, he's a human being. He's like not one that I personally care for, but you know, he's still a human being, and they did show him as a multifaceted person, just like all people are. You know, it didn't like dampen down how like kind of what a sociopath he is, but he also had a loving family. You know, he had a line in the sand with his daughter, who was a lesbian. You know, he kind of sold her out at the end, but you know what I mean.
It's all about money.
Yeah, everything kind of knows how that happened.
Everything's about money and power.
But for a long time, he wouldn't let anything. You know, he sat out everything about gay marriage and stuff like that because his daughter was gay. But, well, still is, as far as I know. But, you know, so, like I said, in a way, like, as a movie, I actually, because, you know, this was pretty much the last thing we have to see. We've seen, like, everything else.
I didn't want to see this.
And it's like, I did want to see it because I like all the actors. But I was like, oh, God, it's going to be politics. It's going to be so depressing. But actually, it was kind of depressing. But actually, it's a really good movie. It's a well-acted movie.
Good quality. High quality.
It's not... you know, it's not like in a narrative timeline that just kind of goes back and forth. There's like funny little interstitial type stuff. Like there's one part where they start like reciting Shakespeare, and like there's one part where like the credits roll and shit like that. Like they just have like all these kind of cute, I don't know, it's not cute, but you know, these just funny little sidelines in there that kind of keep it entertaining. So it actually is an entertaining movie, even though it's kind of like depressing subject matter, if that's not too weird a thing to say. But I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would.
And I do give the writers credit. At the very end, Dick Cheney looks at you and says, you know, you care about what people think about you. You want to, you know what I mean? You're a normal person. You know, you're a little people. You know, you don't understand that, you know, at this level, it's basically kill or be killed at this level, you know?
Or shooting people in the face, actually.
Yeah.
And then have them apologize to you.
So
you gotta love that.
He says he basically says you just have to accept the world for how it is, and you have to accept things for the way they're given to you. And this is the world we have, and you don't like it, and neither do I. But fuck you. And you know it's a lot of truth in what he.
You have to, you know, I'm not going to say give the guy credit, but he started out like as nothing.
Yeah, he was a nobody.
Pretty much.
Yeah. He was working on power lines and drinking.
And he was just, I mean, he just had that personality type where, one, he's super ruthless, and two, you know, he knew the right people. You know, he would always like listen and know like the right people to approach and the right people, you know, to kind of get in good.
He was very Machiavellian.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
And I also like that they treated George Bush pretty fairly. He's not shown as a bad guy. He's just shown as a very
out of his depth
simple guy who's trying to top his dad and trying to be president.
Yeah,
basically. But it looked like more Dick Cheney was really more like the president. But
well, yeah, that
was the arrangement, kind of.
Yeah.
Or at least that's how it was portrayed. And that Stone said, that was about the way it was.
I mean, from everything I've read in that time period, that was actually very accurate.
Yeah. Okay, but my final analysis, it was a high quality movie.
I really liked it, actually.
Would I want to see this again? No. Was I having a really good time enjoying it? Nah, not really. It's kind of a downer. I mean, I actually liked.
It's a downer, but it's funny, like I said, and it kind of keeps moving and like has enough entertaining stuff in it that you're not going to be like, oh God, please kill me.
I live for this shit, so to me it's just mundane, and these people are kind of tired, you know. And you go back and you see that old stuff, and you remember the thinking of the time.
Yeah.
Because you know the thinking of the times have changed a lot. I actually, but as a movie and entertainment, no, fuck no. I kind of liked Replicas better.
Well, yeah, because that was just like a fucking sci-fi movie.
Yeah. Okay, we just got done seeing one called Serenity, and Matthew McConaughey, and who else was that woman? Do you know her name?
Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway. Yeah, movie stars, you know.
Yeah.
Back from when they had movie stars. I'm not sure they have movie stars anymore, but these guys came from the era where, you know, I recognize the dude as a movie star. But this is a difficult movie to talk about because we went into it with not knowing anything really about it. I wouldn't even know what genre it was. And it's kind of a good thing too. It's kind of like the less you know about this movie, the more this movie trips you the fuck out.
Yeah.
So
honestly, okay, I can say this much because this much is written on the little description. Because seriously, we saw the poster pop up.
We know nothing.
I said Matthew McConaughey, and I read the little paragraph synopsis. Basically, the little paragraph synopsis says, this is basically a story about a guy who lives on an island and runs a fishing boat.
Yeah.
And his ex-wife or ex-girlfriend has married this horrible, abusive jackwagon and wants the Matthew McConaughey to kill him, take him out of the boat and like push him overboard, let him fall overboard.
But here's the kicker. That's not what the movie's about.
No.
Not really. All right, so,
and you don't really know that till about a third of the way
Yeah, and you're like
through.
going, whoa, because a bunch of weird shit happens. You're like, what the fuck is happening? And then it starts falling into place, and then it gets weird. It's a good movie. The acting's good. The setting, the tone of the movie is just right. It has a very Caribbean feel to it.
Yeah.
I was going like, is this in Florida? Where is this? They mention in Florida. And then just one thing, and you can't spoil it.
It's very strange.
Real weird.
It reminded me of, I wanted to say I was kind of reminded of maybe like Donnie Darko or something like that, where it was kind of like you thought it was one thing, but it's
actually something else. So I'd recommend it, wouldn't you?
I would, but like I said, just don't read anything.
Don't read anything about it. Just go and see it.
It's more interesting if you go see it. And you don't know what's coming.
If you were to know the premise of this movie, you probably go, "Oh yeah, it sounds good, but fuck that."
Yeah.
But when you kind of see it happen, you're like, "Oh yeah, wow, okay."
Yeah, because like the more it went on, I'm just sitting there going, "Whoa, what the fuck?"
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and then, it just gets all these little...
And then it turns out it's a totally different, even a totally different genre
than I thought,
And so... Yeah, I recommend it.
But yeah, like I said, it's totally weird and it's not like what you're expecting.
Yeah.
So, just
you can go check it out. It was a good movie.
Yeah, I liked it.